Many schools canceled classes today or delayed the start of school due to the power outages and all the damage and the debris on the road. Strong wind gusts continuing, but weaker than what we saw overnight. Rhode Island government state offices are open today.
And our pinpoint weather team coverage this noontime will continue with a number of reporters out in the field.
Yeah, we have coverage from Metro Providence to South County, the East Bay, and southeastern Massachusetts.
Also get an update on the Futurecast from Michelle as well.
But first, we start in Warwick. Governor Raimondo, Mayor Scott Avedisian out surveying the damage this morning in the Connecticut Point area. That's one of the hardest hit areas of that city.
And Eyewitness News reporter Rosie Wood spoke with both of those officials. She's live now with the very latest from our mobile newsroom.
That's right. Now it's very windy out here right now. We've been seeing lots of trees, poles, electrical wires down. I'm going to step out of the way so you can see exactly what we're looking at here behind me. Now this is Burnett Road. We've actually been seeing at least 4 of these poles were down when I first got here around 10 o'clock this morning. Crews are working very hard right now to get everything back up and running, but there's still a lot of wires down on these roads. You can't even go on most of these roads because there's so much work being done. And there was a lot of strong wind here overnight. Even right now, my hat actually just flew off a couple of minutes ago. That's how strong the wind is. And just perpendicular to this road is Chapin Avenue. That's where you can see more power lines and electrical wires sprawled on lawns and hanging low above the street. But it's the extremely large tree that's blocking Chapin that's getting the most attention. One resident's car was completely smashed by the tree, while electrical cords in the garbage cans remain trapped underneath. And what seems like this all over the city, Mayor Avedisian and Governor Raimondo tell me they are working to get the community back to working order as soon as possible.
We still have over 100,000 people now without power, so major power outages, lots of trees down. You know, I've been working with National Grid all morning. What I would say is if you can stay home, please stay home so we can get things cleaned up as much as possible. It could be a couple days though before everybody's back up with power.
Now, at last check, there was still at least 12,000 residents here in Warwick without power, so stay with us online as well as on air for updates throughout the day. Live in Warwick, Rosie Woods, Eyewitness News.
All right, let's head south now to Narragansett. The surf there flooding roads last night. And
Eyewitness News reporter Tom Wallace is monitoring the conditions in that part of the state. He's live now from the mobile newsroom for us this noontime. Todd, what's the scene like right now in Narragansett?
Well, Danielle and Patrick, really the aftermath of this storm here can still be seen and felt. And waves are just as impressive now as they were earlier this morning when we first arrived around 4:15. Waves crashed against and eventually rose above the seawall, flooding areas like Boston Neck Road and a little further down on Boston Neck Road. A toppled tree on one side and on the other side, a telephone pole precariously leaning against power lines. Narragansett Fire Chief Scott Partington says this fast-moving storm was very powerful.
This was a severe storm. It really came fast, quickly, impacted us pretty much just how they had forecasted it. It really did affect the power outages in the area.
Chief Partington says that most of the debris has been cleared now in the roadways. The biggest problem now, power outages. Danielle and Patrick?
All right, so Todd, when you talked to the chief, did he say exactly how many homes are without power right now and where the areas are that are impacted? Todd must be having some difficulty with his audio, so we'll be checking in with Todd to hear more from Narragansett coming up later in the show. Now on to portions of the East Bay, also dealing with the after effects of the storm this morning.
That's right. Many roads remain blocked by these large fallen trees. Residents having to find alternative ways to get around the storm, also forcing cancellation of schools in that town today as power outages continue. Eyewitness News reporter Eric Halpern live in Barrington right now with a look at the conditions right now. Eric?
Patrick, this home behind me is just one of the homes dealing with a tree that fell into the home partly through the roof. You can see up on the roof there, part of this tree still sitting there on the side of this home, the tree where it scratched that home. Water, glass in this home, the homeowner tells me. And this is just one of the trees again in this neighborhood here. The wire's still across the road here. You might be able to hear the generators and trees being cut up around this neighborhood, as this neighborhood, just like so many others in our area, now dealing with cleanup. A tree now resting on top of this Barrington home on New Meadow Road. A boy's bedroom littered with debris where it fell through overnight.
It's the scariest thing is hearing the crash and knowing your kids are upstairs. It's crazy.
Jenny Fitzpatrick's son was not home when the tree came crashing through, but her daughter was asleep upstairs in a nearby room.
I knew something had come through the roof, and I jumped out of bed and ran upstairs yelling for my daughter, who wasn't answering me. It was a little bit intense.
A similar situation at another home in this same neighborhood. Cleanup well underway around the block. This giant tree uprooted, toppling onto this house.
Some people have described it as a bomb, but I mean, it was loud when it hit the house.
Jack Walter says the tree also fell into his son's room, now covered with water and broken glass. Both of these trees fell around midnight, and thankfully, no one at either home was hurt.
You can't stop Mother Nature, you just got to roll with it.
And as the cleanup continues here, the homeowner